everyone. Sam Shaw here, founder of Wall Street Mastermind. Excited to be back today with another client interview for you guys. And today I'm really excited to have Honey on with us. Honey just finished going through the recruiting process for summer 2023 internships and was able to have a very great offer by the end of the process. And so I wanted to get her to come on here and just talk to you guys about how she was able to do that. And also, talk about some of the challenges and how she overcame those. And hopefully, she'll be able to share some insights with you guys that will help you on your own journey as well. So, Honey, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. And if you don't mind, maybe you can just start by introducing yourself real
Mhm.
quick so that our audience can kind of get a feel for who you are.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me here today. I'm Honey, and I come from the University of Michigan. I'm a rising junior next year. I'm double major in economics and statistics. I'm also minoring in the entrepreneurship, and I joined the Wall Street Mastermind in I think in the early of May, and I almost finished my recruiting process in the early of July. So it takes me about 2 months to do the whole process. It's a very stressful period, at least for me. But finally, I'm done, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you joined in like mid-May or something, and like you say, you finished in July, so 2 months.
Yeah.
It's actually, I would say, relatively quick for recruiting, but understand that when you're going through it, probably doesn't feel that way. Uh,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, I
and
just felt every day passed very, very fast, and I didn't even know like I've already gone to the August almost like when I'm going through the process.
Yeah, for sure. I think also for you, because you're obviously graduating class of 2024. And
Yeah,
so when you joined in like mid-May, that was like basically at the end of your sophomore year, right?
yeah, definitely.
Um, and so I think also just so people have context, because you are an international student, I think that was like a big part of the challenge for you, right? Which is
Yeah,
by the end of sophomore year, a lot of the firms that are recruiting for or are willing to recruit international students are actually already done
yeah.
with the hiring process, right? But I guess like, can you maybe talk a little bit about well, actually, before we go there, let's start backwards. Can
Mhm.
we first just because people always want to know this, can we first tell people what offer you ended up going with?
Yeah, sure. So I just got an offer from Adam Street Partner. It's actually a principal for most of the PE and VC firms, and also I'm gonna work in the primary investment group for the fund of funds project, and also I'm also gonna work for some live deals for different industries. So it's basically a buy side offer. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So you're going to this PE firm, you're going to Adams Streets. So if we go back to the beginning,
Mhm.
I guess by the time you came to Wall Street Mastermind in like mid-May, had you already done any recruiting on your own or preparation on your own? And like, were you already applying to a bunch of summer 2023 applications, or what was like the situation that you were in at the time?
Yeah, so to be honest, I haven't done anything before I joined the Wall Street Mastermind, and I've actually kind of been late in the recruiting process because I just realized like I want to do maybe investment banking or the buy side jobs at the start of this summer. So it's kind of late for me to realize that what I want to do in the future. And then I decided to join you guys because I think I watch a lot of videos on YouTube and Instagrams or other channels. I think you give a very good guidance. Also, we could meet a group of people that are doing this, basically doing the same thing, so we can talk to each other and get a lot of experience during this process. I think it's a good way to help us get along with that. But to be honest, yeah, I didn't do a lot before I joined.
Gotcha. Okay. So you basically realized right around that time that this is something that you wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
And by the time you had realized that, it was already, like we said, pretty late in the process, especially for international students. Um, and so like what made like I guess I mean you kind of talked about why you decided to join Wall Street Mastermind. It sounds like you've seen a lot of our content already up to that point. But like did you consider other resources or other options? I feel like there's so many things that you can use nowadays or that you could do. Um,
Yeah.
like what made you decide specifically to go with us as opposed to say, I don't know, like I know there are a lot of like Chinese companies, for example, that do, at least seemingly similar things from the outside, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what was your thought process kind of going through that decision?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are main three reasons maybe. The first is like I talked to Joe before I decided to join, and I feel like you guys did a very personalized and very specific um advice or um like a transcript for you to prepare for the cold emails or the cold calls
Mhm.
during your networking with others. I think that is pretty helpful
Yeah.
because a lot of resources that you just as you said before, you can find online or you can also ask other people for help, but that is so still very general
Mm.
and it doesn't like it maybe works for others, but it maybe doesn't work for you. So I think the resources we have is very unique and very special for you. And
Mm.
that's the first point. And second, I think because you also work in you have a lot of working experience before you start this business, you work in investment banking, private equity, and also you start your own business later. So I think you are very experienced in a lot of industry, and you're very responsible for every student we have here. You are very willing to help different students at any time. I think that's the second reason that convinced me to join.
Mm.
And the third one, maybe I think because it's a very big community, and I think that's the point that attracts me because recruiting is definitely not a single thing that you can do by your own. If you have some peers or some like friends doing the same things as you in the same time, I think you guys can talk to each other. Maybe you don't feel that stressful or uh actually that is very helpful for me because every time I ask any questions in the Slack or I DM somebody to ask them their interview experience, they will directly reply to me and maybe send me some very useful materials for me to prepare the interview. I think yeah, that's maybe a big difference from other companies, from what other companies doing now, because they only work for one student and they don't like them to talk to each other, or you even don't have a big group like that, so you don't know what other people's process, and you cannot get help from others.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, I think the community aspect is huge, and you're right. I think that's a pretty big differentiating factor for sure. And we've just gotten uh we've just gotten so much positive feedback on the community aspect of things. I think like people
Yeah.
one, like obviously like you said, it's great to feel like you're not going through this alone.
Alone. Yeah.
But two, also I think because our community is just everyone's so collaborative. Even though it
Mhm.
is a competitive process, but I feel like
Yeah.
people are still very willing to help each other out, which is like obviously a great thing to see.
Yeah.
So like I always tell everyone, you know, rising tide lifts all boats, right? Like it's not there's enough jobs out there and there's few enough students in Wall
Mhm.
Street Mastermind where we shouldn't have to compete with each other for jobs. And um, I think I did the math, and we probably work with like 0.1% of the applicant pool or something every
Oh,
single year. So it's
mm,
like even with the really low acceptance rates at these top banks, which sometimes can be 1.5%, 2%, whatever, there's still plenty of jobs to go around, right? Which is actually really great. So
yeah.
so I guess like so you join Wall Street Mastermind, um and I mean you're double majoring in econ and statistics.
Mm,
You're not at the business school in school,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
did you like not have did you have a lot of friends who were also trying to do what you were trying to do, or were most of your friends like not trying to break into finance?
Yeah, definitely. Because um, I think from my own perspective, a lot of my friends, especially I'm not in the business school, so a lot of my friends I came from the literature school, similar to me. They are not very professional oriented or very job career oriented. They probably want to pursue a master degree or they want to do a lot of like academic things after they graduate. But I do have the other friends that from Ross, the Ross Business School in Michigan. I know they have very good resources for job searching, or they have a lot of one-to-one advising or job career fair that is on exclusively to them. So I think for them, they definitely um have some resources that we cannot touch very easily as a literature school student. Um, yeah, and I know most of raw students, they are targeting like investment banking or consulting firms from the very beginning of their college life, maybe in the freshman year or at the beginning of their sophomore year because they have been posted to that kind of things after they got into college. But as for me, I firstly decided to study stats, not economics actually, because I've been studying for business in my high school. I took a gap year in my high school actually after I finished that, and I studied accounting and finance by myself. So I know the basic ideas about that, and knowing that I definitely want to work in business, but it's still a very general area. I don't um, actually know if I want to work in investment banking or consulting or other like buy side firms. So I'm still exploring that until I decided to study the major of economics, and then yeah, I decided to work for investment banking or um the buy side firms.
Gotcha. Okay. So like what made you decide, especially
Mhm.
so in the process, like what made you finally realize like, oh, actually this is what I want to do? Like, was there something in
Mm.
particular that happened, or I don't know, did you talk to somebody, or like how did you end up here, I guess?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question actually, because we are mostly targeting for the investment banking companies or the sell side, but I finally got a buy side job. I think maybe there are two reasons. The first, I could say like I started from pursuing a job in investment banking. Honestly, at the time I joined this program, but the more I've been talked to a lot of bankers and having interviews with them, I kind of realized that that's not maybe not the thing I want to do for the rest of my life or my whole life. And then there's one thing that is very interesting. I know this job from Adam Street partners through talking to a bankers actually. I talked to a banker working at UBS actually. So
Hmm.
that is really helpful for me because at that time I'm kind of want to ask her about some of her working experience in UBS because I want to kick off that company. But she told me she's working in the asset management, especially for the co-investment and primary investment in the buy side. Although she works in your investment banking company, then I kind of realized that oh, there's the other opportunities that I can pursue.
Mm,
Maybe at the same time. Then I started to not only focus on the investment banking, but also start applying for the buy side like PE, VC, or LP, like Adam Street aspect. Then I think the final reason would be if you look at my resume, that's also the question that I talked with you before, because most of my experience is buy side oriented or buy side focused. I did a lot of PE or VC or family office internships before, and then I started the Michigan Venture Club, the venture capital club in my school.
yeah,
So I think especially for me, my experience would be more aligned with the buy side or the PE, VC, even LP firms.
gotcha, gotcha. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay. So like, what would you say, what did you find to be like the biggest challenges of like recruiting in general for you? Like for someone with your profile specifically, like what did you think was like the toughest part?
Um, I think maybe the toughest part would be the networking
Mhm.
process.
Okay.
Um, because especially for students from other countries or international students, they're maybe a little bit shy, or
Mm,
they're not willing to talk to other people. That's the first point. And the second point would be they don't know how to do that, even if they want to do that.
mm,
Because from my own experience, I search a lot of uh like news or advice online, but I'm still very confused about how to actually talking with a real person. I can know how to write the LinkedIn page or how to write the emails. That is very easy because you can just copy and paste into your email. But as for the networking or coffee chat or you name it, like the phone call videos, it's actually you're talking to a real person. You need to react to his questions or his answers, and you need to maybe potentially want to get an offer from that person. So how do you talk to them, and how do you lead them um to trust you or to like you? That's a very hard process if you don't get any guidance or any advice from a person that who has experienced that. And that is what you did. I found it easy and very comfortable doing that. After I watched a lot of videos from our networking and application module, and you basically talk to us how to do that step by step, and it's very structural and very clear, how to ask questions. You divide it into different parts and how to answer that after they give you some reactions, and how to be interactive, how to be lovable, or things like that. I think that's very helpful, and that's definitely the biggest challenge for me if I don't join this program.
gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I mean, as an international, like networking is all about connecting with the other person, right? And I feel like it's
Yeah,
easier to connect with someone if you are like already very similar to them and you have like a lot
yeah,
in common. But
that's
if
the point.
you're like from a different country, different culture, speak a
Mhm.
different language, or like I mean, English is your second language, and then like a lot of times you might feel like you don't have a lot in common with this banker, and how do you still one, not only get them to talk to you, but two, like have a great conversation to the point where they're willing to refer you. Like that's the challenge, right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, to be honest, I've never been taught about that before I joined this program. I have no idea about how to talk to bankers or the people you want networking with.
right.
I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, unfortunately, they don't teach this stuff in school. I feel like, um,
Yeah, they may teach a little bit in the business school, but there's no courses like that in the literature school.
yeah, yeah. Uh, and I think like what a lot of people are probably wondering is like, okay, so you learn how to network effectively in this program, but like, one question always gets like, I mean, can't you just learn how to do that on Google? Or like, can't you just learn how to do that by watching some YouTube videos, Like, isn't
Mm.
everything already out there, right? Like, what would you say? Because I feel like you must, like you said, you tried probably looking up a lot of advice online and things like that, right? Like what did when you did that, like what did you actually find to be the difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the most important point is the program here is very well designed. It's very systematic, and um I could say that it can be it is verified by a lot of previous members because they all use that. And I think I don't need to verify that if this is useful or not. I don't need to question that. But for the resources that I can find online, they are from different people, different channels, or different areas. I don't definitely like 100% trust them. And I think the other thing that is very helpful is because we join the program, it saves a lot of our time. Because a lot of things is prepared for you. You just need to go through that and learn how to do that. It's a very quick way to pick up these abilities or these skills. It don't waste a lot of your time to finding things online and help and trying to understand that and trying to maybe organize that into a good order and then you started that. I feel the recruiting process is very stressful and very fast paced. It's very important if you can save some time in this kind of things and focusing on preparing for the interview or the most important part.
Gotcha, that makes sense. So if I were to like sum up what you said, it's really primarily two things. Like, sure, there's a lot of information online, but the problem is, one, like, how do you know if you can trust it, or how do you know if the source is credible? And
Yeah,
two, also, it's probably even more importantly than that, like, even if you can find credible information, like, how long is it going to take you to do it? And if it takes you too long, especially for someone like you who already kind of feels like you're behind
yeah,
started, you're just looking for like the most efficient way of doing things, as opposed to having to do a bunch of trial and error and figure things out as you go. And we like a lot of people don't realize this, but like there is actually a cost to taking a lot longer on these things, right? Because the longer it takes you to get your offer, like the typically the less opportunities there are going to be available, right? And typically the
yeah,
worse those opportunities are going to be. And so
yeah,
you might end up being, I mean, you might end up not getting an offer at all, worst case scenario, but best case scenario, you might end up getting an offer, but it just took you so much longer that it's not as good of an offer as you would have gotten otherwise, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, so that makes a lot of sense. I guess obviously the networking piece is huge, especially when it comes to helping you uh get selected for the interviews. What about like the interview itself? Like in terms of like preparing for the interview, how was that experience for you?
Um, yeah, to be honest, that I just got a few interviews from the investment banking, not a lot. So, um, I don't know like if I can talk too much about that, but I do remember there was a interview with Citi,
Mm,
uh, that is with a global energy group in Houston, and um, the first one and second one was very conversational, and I just used the second part is called the behavioral question module,
yeah.
and I go through all the materials there, and you kind of listed all the questions that will be asked during the interview.
Mhm.
So I read my answer, and then I didn't send you to review, but I listened to all the videos that you recorded, so I'm pretty sure that my answer is kind of similar to that.
Mm,
Uh, I'm confident that it goes well. And after going through that, I went to the interview, and then definitely I passed the first two rounds of the behavioral questions.
Mm,
And the second one, the third one will be a technical question. It's a 20-minute technical interview. And they ask a lot of questions about the accounting and finance and some specific knowledge about the oil and gas industry.
yeah.
And I think it was very helpful because I reached out to you before I have that interview, and you give me 2 videos about the oil and gas industry and 2 PDFs that is basically talk about the accounting and finance questions in oil and gas.
Yeah.
So after I reviewed that document and the videos you sent to me, I went to the interview and I think it goes well. There was definitely a few questions that I'm not sure, but I think basically it's a very good process
Mm,
from going through these 3 rounds interviews. Yeah.
got it. Okay. So I guess that was probably like your most substantial or most making interview experience, right? Was your buy side experience, was that interview focused more on like leverage buyouts, or like what kind of questions are they asking you?
Yeah, for it also depends on different companies. Uh, I can talk about it separately. So for example, if I'm recruiting with a PE firms, they will focus a lot on the leverage buyout and also your industry research ability. Or they also test a little bit about the evaluations questions. That's for the PE firms. But for the offer I got, it's kind of different because they're the principals of some of the P and VC firms, so they acting as a LP for the GPs, and they are not very technical oriented. So most of the questions asked are basic about my past experience and my behavior, as well as they focus a lot on uh my my own like interests and what I do for fun in my real life. They care a lot about you as a team member of them. So
Mm,
they can actually working with you and feel happy to get along with you. So
got
that's kind of different. And also for the from the job content perspective, because it's a little more soft skills oriented. So most of the time, I was just working on the industry research, and then I would talk to people a lot and doing a lot of phone calls or video calls with a lot of like GPs, things like
it.
that. So they don't target a lot of technical skills.
Gotcha. Okay. So then it was mostly the behavioral interview prep that you did, like the stories that you prepared for the behavioral questions, which are, I guess, pretty transferable from IB to PE, right? Like it's a lot of it is similar and kind of overlapping in terms of what you would say.
Yeah, definitely. So the most typically asked questions is work me through your resume. I just need to change a little bit from the IB interviews to the LP interviews. And the other question that they ask a lot is about my past experience, explain the skills you are working on, or explain the recent internships you're doing. And that also the question I prepared a lot for the IB interviews.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Um, so I guess that all makes sense. So and this is probably one of my last questions for you, but like now that you've gone through the process, um, and you come out the other side with an offer, like, do you have any advice, maybe 1 or 2 pieces of advice for people who are, just still going through the process right now, or maybe about to start going through the process, maybe someone who's like in a similar situation as you, maybe they're international student, maybe they're starting relatively late.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you could think of, something that mm, maybe you think like made a big difference for you along the way, or like piece of advice that someone gave you that just really moved the needle for you. Like, do you have anything like that?
Um, yeah, for sure. But I think my advice will be a little bit crazy or because
Let's
I
hear
found
it.
you're a buy side job and um so my biggest advice is if you really want to do something, just go for it. That's my biggest advice. No matter you want to work for investment banking or consulting or anything else, if you really want to do it, just do it. Because for me, the reason to be honest, the reason I recruit for banking because I think that will be easier, or because they have a lot of headcounts or jobs provided, so it would be a higher chance for me to get an offer. But after I actually going through that, I think it's not definitely not an easy process, and you need to be well prepared for that, and you need to know a lot, not only the behavioral questions but also the technical questions.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that's kind of things that I realized after I actually going through the process. Then I think I talked to you a little bit about that. If I could actually also recruiting for the buy side, maybe I could try. You said it's very hard because they want you to have some investment banking working experience before you can enter into a buy side. But for me, it's very personally, I just talk about it. A lot of my personal experience is already in the best side. That probably more aligned to their requirements compared to investment bankings. Um, so I think maybe not just targeting on one thing, but also do another at the same time. It will enlarge your uh, um, like possibilities to get an offer, and that's actually what I want to do. I'm pretty sure maybe even if I can get in investment banking right now, I won't stay there for a long time. I probably get out after 3 or 5 years. If
Right.
I have that mind, um, that I know I will get out at the first day I get in, um, that mind will affect a lot of my working experience or my uh, like my mental um my thoughts about this job. I
Yeah.
don't think that makes a lot of sense. So I think maybe I can also try to recruiting for the buy side and then yeah, just go for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's great advice. I think obviously where you start your career and also what direction you take your career in is a very big decision, right? Because it's something that you're going to spend at least a couple of years doing, but potentially a very, very long time, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you should, obviously everyone should kind of follow their gut in terms of what they really want to do and what they think is going to make them happy. I think the good news in this case, between like banking and buy side is that um, I just think there's a lot of overlap uh,
Yeah, definitely.
between the preparation for buy side and sell side, and so it's not like if you decide to go for both, then you're gonna have to, double your work or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's very similar. Yeah, from my experience, it's very transferable. You can just transfer what you learned in the investment banking interview process to the other side of the process. It's very easy to transfer and very easy to apply it.
yeah, so it's like, there's a little bit of incremental work to submit more applications and do a little bit more networking than you would have had to network otherwise. But
Yeah.
aside from that, like I think there's very little downside to just casting a wider net, and then like you never
Yeah.
you never know where your offer is going to come from, especially as an international student where you already have fewer options in the first place because not everyone will
Yeah.
sponsor. And then I think also currently, like with the way the markets are right now, things are a little bit choppier. And I think in general, we're seeing that there's fewer jobs this year than there has been in past years. And so like all those things combined, it's just, I think it was a great idea that you decided to start casting a wider net, so to speak, right?
Yeah. So it's a very big takeaway, just doing whatever you can and try your best. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, okay, that makes sense. I guess look for those of you in the audience that are still with us, you're if you're going through the recruiting process right now, or maybe you're about to go through it, and maybe you have some similar challenges, like you're also an international student, or maybe you feel like you're starting late, or maybe you just haven't done any preparation yet, and you feel like you just realized that this is what you want to do, but you're playing a little bit of catch up.
Hmm.
I want to encourage you to reach out to us and tell us a bit about your situation to see if we might be able to help you. We may or may not be able to, like, truly on a case by case basis, especially for international students, because a lot of times with international students, like, we have to figure out, like, hey, is there still enough time
Yeah.
to do all the things that you need to do?
Yeah.
But like that's why we're happy to have these conversations with you. In fact, before you even talk to anyone on our team, uh, what we do for most people now is that we actually let you guys schedule like a free virtual coffee chat with someone who's already gone through our program first. So like basically an alumni in our program who's uh, a junior or senior and has already gone through the recruiting process and has successfully landed an offer. And it's just like any other networking call. You can ask them for whatever advice you want
Yep.
on recruiting, on their experience, how they got their offer. And based on that, if everything sounds good to you and you still want to learn more about us, then they can go ahead and help you set you up for a call with us.
Hmm.
Or like if you feel like no, it's not really the right fit for you, then that's totally okay too. Then you just pretend you got a free networking call out of it and take whatever advice you're given and go out and implement it on your own. So if that's what you guys are interested in, then you can go and book this call by going to www.wallstreetmastermind.com/apply. Again, the street is abbreviated, so it's wallstmastermind.com/apply. And we look forward to talking to you and hopefully helping you. All right. So with that said, honey, I want to thank you for taking the time to share your experience with us and with our
Yeah, sure.
audience. And want to congratulate you again on getting your buy side offer, which I'm really glad that you ended up getting something that that your heart was pulling you towards more in the first place, as opposed to maybe ending up in banking and feeling like that's not really the right thing for you. But I'm glad it all worked out in the end, and obviously you got it done in a very short amount of time, and you worked really hard, and it was super stressful, but hopefully in the end it was all worth it. So
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
to see what you
Thank you,
achieved.
Thanks for the big family. It
Yeah,
helps a
for
lot.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I
Um,
would definitely stay in the family and yeah, just give as much help as I can.
yeah, no, that would be awesome. I mean, our current students get so much from the alumni that came before them, and so I think that's really what makes this community so awesome. So yeah, we'd definitely love to see you stick around and help people out. So but yeah, like with that said, guys, that'll be it for this episode. We're gonna wrap it up here, and thank you guys for tuning in. And we'll be back with more of these for you guys in the near future. All right.